Hello there, guys. So just got home from work on a Friday afternoon, and I'm gonna get started on this weekend's project. Yep, it's not the turbocharged wagon. You guys watched that one the last 2 weeks. We're actually switching it up. This one's gonna make a comeback, and I actually got a pretty cool upgrade that's gonna go on this thing that's potentially gonna make even more horsepower. I know, I just can't leave things alone. But that's not what we're working on today. Instead, today, we are actually going to revive the racing lawnmower. Holy hell, this thing's brutal, dude.
It just beats the hell out of you.
Oh my gosh, I'd say. Had a CR500 motor in it. Actually gonna switch it up, change the motor in that thing, and it's gonna work a lot better. So, let's get this thing off the hoist and get the motor in here and see if we can make some fire in that thing. She's heavy. Ta-da!
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest.
So this motor right here is a 200cc Honda four-wheeler motor. This came out of I believe a 1986 Honda SX 4-tracks. So the reason we're going to put this in the lawnmower versus the CR500 motor that was in it is several reasons. One, has electric start. We couldn't hardly start that thing. It was a pain in the butt, had to lift the hood up, and it was just a nightmare.
Oh, freaking CR500s.
Right. Yeah, whose great idea was this?
Two is this has an automatic clutch. That way, when we pull up, switch drivers during the race, if you don't happen to get it in neutral or don't get the clutch pulled all the way in and it kills the motor, again, you got to lift the hood up, kick the CR500 in a sitting position, and it's just not usable, not user friendly.
We're gonna swap out drivers.
And the third thing is the CR500 was super fun. It had a really good hard hit to it, but you honestly could not take the power from the motor and get it to the ground because we are not allowed to run any sort of tread type tires. They have to be a turf type lawnmower tire in the rules for this specific race. Could be different somewhere else, but for this one, that's the rules. So we figured a 4-stroke motor, automatic clutch, and electric start, and a little bit smaller CC that would actually take the power from the motor and plant it to the ground would be the answer. And the other thing is, this is air cooled versus liquid cooled. We don't have to worry about it boiling over, getting hot, or not getting enough airflow across the radiator to keep the thing cool. So this is what we're gonna go with. My goal today is to wire this thing on the bench just like it sits and see if we can get this thing to fire. Fingers crossed, this thing fires up, doesn't smoke, and sounds healthy. We'll pull the mower in, see if we can get this thing swapped out. So let's get after it. Looks like we have most of the harness. Got the old factory headlights. Somebody's looking for a set of factory headlights for a Honda 200 SX 4-tracks. Let me know, hit me up. I'd love to send these to you because I don't think I'll use them, and I don't know, they're probably worth something to somebody. Got the jump box kind of running the whole system for now, and turn the key on, headlights come on. Let's see if it'll at least crank. Right, it cranks. That's a pretty good sign. I'm gonna go ahead, pull a spark plug, see if we're getting spark to this thing, and if we are, I'm gonna pull the carburetor on it and give it a little see if it'll even blubber or crank or whatever. It's a good sign, I like that. Hey, get back here. I think I might actually bolt the exhaust on this thing, just so it's not so obnoxious when it starts, because it's gonna start. Has to start, right? Let's just give her a snuff of the old, see what she does. Get something down the throat of it. Oh, she's trying. Give her a little choke. Sounds like a dolphin farting underwater with bubbles. Yeah, that's specific. Don't ask me how I know. Oh yeah. Perfect. Cool. That makes me happy. I'm gonna throw the exhaust on this thing so it actually sounds normal-ish. It's not so loud. Jump box is squawking at me. Come on. Oh, helps if you plug the spark plug wire back in. That'll help. Oh, that thing sounds great. Oh yeah, I like it. Cool. Well, good morning. Hope everybody's got their hot cup of coffee in their hand and they're ready to get after it. I think I am. So last night you saw me get the 200SX four-wheeler motor running, and now it's time to get the mower in here, get it up on the table, and see how close this thing is to fitting in that chassis. Hopefully it's close-ish. I don't know if I'm that optimistic, but let's see what it's got. Watch out, bud, coming in. Watch out, buddy. Let's see if we can wreck this thing even more than it already is. That'll work. So I've gone ahead and I've done a little bit of measuring, just, you know, got the old tape measured out and kind of used my good eye and eyeballed the amount of area right here that we have for the new motor. And it's gonna be tight, like it's gonna be that close, but I think it's gonna fit. So first things first, I gotta come in and chop off all these engine mounts that were for the CR500 motor and get them all smoothed up, and then we'll see if we can drop this baby in. I might have to take this upper bar out and actually raise it up just a skosh, but I'd rather not. If we could utilize that one where it's at, that would be better, but for now, I'm gonna leave it and then see what happens. So I'm gonna get the old death wheel out, get my glasses on, chop some stuff off, and go from there. Well, crap. Milwaukee batteries are just not that great. There's Juan down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. Yeesh. Okay, let's see if this big bugger will fit inside of there. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, whatever. It's way heavier than the 500 for sure. It's looking promising. Come on, baby. That actually might fit better than expected. Huh. We'll get this thing basically blocked up here and get some mounts built, I guess. I don't hate it. Okay, so after looking at this thing a little bit closer, I am gonna have to take out this top piece. Not a big deal. If it was up about another 2 inches, that'd be just fine. And the reason I have to do that is because the sprocket alignment right here off the motor needs to come up just a little bit to help clear the steering stuff. So I'm gonna take the Sawzall, trim it off there, trim it off about right there somewhere, and I'll pull the motor in, get the sprockets lined up, and get the motor level with the chassis and square with the chassis and whatever, you know, square, I don't know. But anyways, get that all set up, and then I'll start making patterns, and we'll build some motor mounts for this thing, and there you go. What do they say? Robert's your dad's brother, or Bob's your uncle on the other side of the pond. So before I get cutting out the motor mounts for this thing, I just want to show you what I did to square this thing up with the chassis and the sprocket alignment. So what I did is I took my laser.
Ignition sequence.
And we've lasered across the front of the sprocket and the top of the sprocket on the rear and the front and the idler and everything. Check this out. I don't know if this is going to show up very good, but there's the rear sprocket. There's the front sprocket. Looks like that ought to be fairly true to me. Now we can build motor mounts. You can trim that just a little bit. Look a little more aesthetically pleasing, but pretty close. I think I can make 2 of those and make that work just fine. So for the back mount, I think I can actually take the stock rear engine mount, and what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to cut this tubing out of this mount and take some new tubing and basically just lengthen it on one side, because when whoever cut this frame up, they weren't thinking of me. I know, strange, and didn't cut this side quite long enough to just trim it up and then slide it in and weld it up. So, not a big deal. I'm just gonna take the die grinder, cut this frame, or cut this bracket out, and bam, there you go. Done dealio. Then we can move on to the fun stuff like wiring, exhaust, fuel, and pretty much everything else. So let's get after it. Well, good morning there, guys. Happy Sunday. So last night before I went in the house, I actually took the old aluminum fuel cell that I built last year for this thing and threw up on it because I just wanted to see how much clearance I had for everything and if I was going to be able to utilize that location. I think I got lucky. Let me show you how close this thing is, but I think it's going to work. So if you look right here, I think we got enough room clear the motor to the tank. I might have to trim it just a little bit to be on the safe side, but have enough room for the spark plug to come out, and I think it's gonna work. Got tons of room for the starter and, you know, what have you right here. The one thing I am gonna have to do on this system is the carburetor is actually higher than it was on the CR500, so the gravity feed from the tank for the fuel is not gonna work. I mean, it probably worked till it got about that far down on fuel, but it would actually probably work if we didn't want to use the whole capacity of the fuel. But as soon as it drops about that far, it's going to be below the low level of the carburetor, so not going to work. So I'm going to have to end up putting a fuel pump, kind of like I did on the turboed wagon. If you guys haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's pretty awesome. And that seemed to work out really well. This is essentially the same carburetor that's on that machine, so I don't know why it wouldn't work. I already have to have a battery for the electric start, so bam, why not, right? So the next step on this project is I need to rebuild this, basically this upper tie bar that goes from the front back to the steering column, or the steering stem rather. Remember, I had to cut that out in order to have clearance for the cylinder head here. So I'm gonna roll my old school tube bender out here and see if I can bend me up a strut tower or tie bar, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Might have to do it in a couple pieces because mine doesn't bend a super tight radius, but that's all right. That's why we have welders, right? Not bad. This old machine actually does pretty good work at bending tubing. Don't use it very much anymore, but it does a pretty good job. What do you mean? Sockets. They're in there. Jed's lost the sockets. Right there.
Quarter.
5/16. Oh.
I like the 3/8. I'm a big boy.
He works on big stuff. Ooh.
This quarter-inch stuff is
Weird.
foreign.
All right, so that's not the right piece. Where's the right piece? Got the piece bent. Was able to do her out of one piece of tubing, thanks to Jedediah's help. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing tacked into place like a so we have enough room to get the motor out later on. What are you talking about? This motor's never coming out again, ever.
It's probably gonna look like this forever.
Yeah, because it's never gonna break, right? Yes, never gonna break. Air-cooled Honda can't kill them. Anyways, so while I'm doing that, Jed is gonna start tackling the exhaust. He's gonna cut up the stock exhaust and figure out a good routing system while I'm building this and hooking up whatever. So, there we go. Jed's over here building exhaust. So what he did is he basically just took the stock head pipe that was on the other side, cutting the bends out of it and just rearranging. But I think we're gonna be able to use the one we had on the 500, so silencer wise. It's gonna look good, Jetty.
You're gonna go moke.
Gonna what?
Go moke.
Moke?
Moke.
Okay.
Smoke.
Oh, smoke.
Moke.
Yeah. It might have a little residual oil in it for a minute. Yeah, it's looking good though. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and TIG weld this awesome looking little header pipe Jed built out of what we had. Looks good for scrapping it together. While I'm doing that, he's gonna mess with the chain idler pulley a little bit, try to get some clearance from the motor mount. But I think for too long we'll throw the carburetor on this thing and just see what it sounds like when it fires up, because I want to know what this 2-stroke silencer is going to sound on this thing. I think it's going to sound pretty healthy. All right, I think we're all ready to see if this thing will fire up. So temporarily, got the wires hanging there, obviously, and the old jump pack. Got the carburetor full of fluids. Let's see what she does. Backfire on deceleration, but I'm happy. Make it work. Sounds good. Does sound good. Sounds like a big bike. Yeah, that thing sounds awesome. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I like the way that sounds. Sounds healthy. Sounds like 200 cc's of fury.
Good thing we didn't go with the straight pipe option. I think it would have been too much.
Yeah, no, that's going to be about right, I think. It's not a sleeper anymore, but whatever. I like it. All that's left is the rest, I guess. Everything else. Well, Jed and I got quite a bit done on this old girl today, and feel pretty good about it. So, like I said earlier, throughout the week, I'm going to spend a little time, tidying up like the wiring and getting the battery mounted, and should have a fuel pump here in the next day or so. So, just kind of tying up loose ends. So next week, the plan is we'll get this thing fired up and take it for a rip. I think it's going to do pretty good. It's definitely not going to have the power the 500 had, but this thing is so much more usable with the electric start and the automatic clutch and all the stuff that kind of makes it not fun. But anyways, for our application, I think it's going to work out real nice. That being said, that's going to be a wrap for this video, and we'll catch you guys all next week. Huh? Well, I am an American. I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and something.